Welcome to everybody. You're welcome to an evening with Ian Allen, who is a member of our virtual events team working on videography and our YouTube channel. And Ian's been out and about at Gildex with a camera and video, and certainly just recently was down in Somerset filming a layout for our virtual shows. So a very valuable member of the events team. But Ian is also a member of the SR7 group and has built all the points and crossings for the expansion of their railway. And I know we've had some evening widths where you've visited that railway virtually, and some of you have recently visited the railway in person, as well as being commissioned to build track formations for others, which Ian does as well. He's a long-time user of Templot. He's designed a number of layouts and also worked on projects for himself. And he's keen to promote prototypical track. He believes that the part of model railways is often overlooked. So being prototypical is really helpful. We had our first Templot session in April this year, and that was really a beginner's session. And I know many of you were in that session, and I certainly learned an awful lot about the basics of Templot. And Martin also joined us and took us through some other techniques with it. For this second session, Ian's going to take us through using prototype plans, features including geometry, tools, groups and background shapes, as well as a look at real options which you can add into your designs. And please, he does say, and I'm sure Ian will reiterate this, if anyone has specific requests, please let us know via chat, or as I say, if you're not happy to do chat, if he asks you to ask questions, please do so, and we'll hopefully cover any queries off for people. We want you to get the very most you can out of the session. So welcome, Ian. Thanks for joining us again, and
my pleasure.
over to you.
Okay, I hope everyone has seen the previous video that we did, and if any of you are here from the first session, like Jackie said, you'll know what we covered and what we looked at. As far as I'm aware, nobody has contacted me via Guild form or email to pose any questions for this evening. And has anybody contacted you for questions, Jackie, at the moment? You didn't have anything in advance, did you, that's been sent?
No previous questions.
Okay, so we should be quite a good, smooth evening then. So, of course, as Jackie reiterated, if you've got any questions or is anything specific you would like me to cover this evening, then we'll have a look at that for you. So if I'm going to screen share right away. Hopefully this worked, because I had a problem last time, of course. So I'm going to start this session again with just some simple overviews, and we'll look at a couple of items we didn't touch on in the last session. One will be the reel function, where you can adjust settings and tailor track to your own design or even to your own prototype. So if you're looking at 1930s Great Western, or I know we mentioned it last time between myself and Martin when we were having a little chat, 1928 standard track that the LMS and the LNER was using. You can adjust K crossings, the V crossings, your timbering, the rail length. So there's a lot of things there we can have a look at this evening. And we'll also look at geometry as well, because geometry is quite important in working out your overall track design and track spacing. And the other one I think I mentioned was tools, where we can actually now start to look forward to making more complex formations for our track work. So I'm going to start here with two lengths of plain track. These are a 30-foot length and a 60-foot length, following the standard timber spacing that was used for Bullhead Rail. Martin might be able to confirm if this is based on the post-1928 Bullhead Rail timber spacing, or if it was a BR version. But this is what basically you get with Templot when you select a 60-foot, for example, at the bottom here, length of track. The 30-foot length, of course, you have to adjust the sleeper spacings because there's less sleepers in a 30-foot length than there are in a 60-foot length. And you can see as well here, the spacing on this is closer than it is for the 60-foot length. And if I just move this over, you'll be able to see difference in the sleeper spacings there between the two templates. Okay, now another thing you can do, and this touches on with Real, and I've got a perfect example here, is generate your own length with your own timber spacings. So I'm going to bring this down here now. And this is a 45-foot panel. So we've got standard 60-foot, 30-foot, which would have been used pre-grouping, and a 45-foot length panel, which was also pre-grouping. This one, you can see I haven't actually adjusted that timber at the end. Well, the sleeper spacings for this panel follow the 1905 Lancashire and Yorkshire prototype, which is why we have different spacing for the end. I just move this one down here now. You can see the spacing difference there between the end where your wider sleeper is, where you're leading to the fish plates and the joint to the next length, the next panel, and then the sleeper spacing for the sleepers afterwards, you can see is a little bit closer than it is for the standard template. So I'm going to move this little baby again. It's going to bring it down to there. And while we're looking at this, if I go to Real, Plain Track Options, Rail Lengths and Sleeper Spacings. And now you get a drop-down box with a selection of options available to you. So you can see straight away here, you've got 30, 45, 60, 60 and 60. These are the options that are available in Templot as fixed items. You then also have 6 custom slots, so you can actually design something and then save it. So what we're going to do with this 45-foot length is change some of the sleeper spacings. I'm just going to mess about with it. I'm not going to do anything correct. I'm just going to show that how easy it is to change the sleeper spacings and what the effect is on the panel that we're looking at. Pick one of the custom slots. Okay, so I'll pick slot 1. Custom settings. Enter new data for slot 1. So I'm going to rename this Evening With. Custom rail length in full inches. So who wants to come up with a length for me? Anybody? In inches. That's nobody. Right, okay. So I'm going to enter 480 inches. Spacing from the rail joint to the first sleeper. So this is basically from the end of the rail where your fish plate would be and the rail next rail of the panel to the center line of the first sleeper. So I'm going to do 15 inches. And now we start looking at the spacing between all the other sleepers in the panel. And I'm going to go to 20 and 21, 22, 25, 30, 30, 30, 30, 30, 30, 30. And I'm just going to do this ad nauseum, as it were. And then if I hit enter, now you can see how the sleeper spacing has changed on this panel. So if I zoom in,
Hang on, just make sure I'm muted.
A length there. We've got our first sleeper at the rail joint, and then our second sleeper you can see is a lot closer than the third, and you can see they're starting to space out and then stay the same distance until the end of the rail joint. Then the next one is starting with a similar spacing again. Does that all make sense? Deathly silence because everybody's muted. So this is a very easy way of being able to generate something for yourself and store it. So if I save this now, store on background, I can now go to template, new template, plain track straight. If I drag this up, you can see that this length of track has got this really curious sleeper spacing that we've just generated. So I'm just going to go back and go to a generic length, and you can see straight away it changes back to one of the options that is a default setting within Templot. Okay, very simple. But like I said last time, it's a lot of the time it's a case of getting familiar where everything is within the page and within the drop-down boxes. Now the other thing we can do is we can look at the rails. So at the moment, the rails are haven't got any incline on them. Or they haven't got that 1 in 20 inclination. So if I do inclined rails, you get a box. Select Real Rails Head and Foot menu option if you want the template to include the outer foot line of inclined bullhead rails. Okay, continue. Real Rails Head and where was it? It's here easy it is to forget. Okay. So has that actually worked?
Hello, Ian.
Hello.
That doesn't actually show on the trackpad.
Oh, okay.
They only show when you print them out on the template.
Ah, right. Okay. So if I go to
That bottom edges. If you export,
we'll do it. Yeah, we'll do it afterwards. Yeah, we'll do it after. We'll do it. We'll print a PDF a little bit later. Then we should be able to see it, shouldn't we?
should do, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Martin.
It doesn't do that because so many extra lines on the screen. Just
Yes. Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Of course.
see.
So I've shown that you can change the sleeper spacing and change the length of your lengths of rail. The other thing we'll want to do moving forward as well is if we're building a layout with a station, we might like to put the platforms in. So there's an option here for platforms. And you get the option for turnout side of the piece of track and the main side of the piece of track. And this little line and box here indicate which is the main side and the turnout side. So the square box is the main side, and where there's no box is the turnout side. So I'm going to add this on the turnout side only because there's other track in the way. And there you can see a white rectangle has now appeared. And if I say store this length, we now have a brown rectangle. So that's shown that the platform has now been recorded and stored with this length of track. Now, if I do a shift and join, move that to there and store it, you can see that the platform goes with it because it is part of that template. Ooh. Okay. Now, going back to platforms, the other thing we can do if we so desire is change the width. So the width at startup is 144 inches full size. So we might want to change that because we might want a slightly narrower platform. So if I bring that down to 132 and 132, you can see now on the active template, the platform is narrower than the platform that was at the standard size when you power the system up. You can also adjust it so that the width at the end is different to the width at the start. Now you can see we've got a nice taper from one end to the other, which can be useful where you've got a junction and you've got another line going not parallel but an angle to the first line that you've set. So you can actually set the platform angles by just adjusting the start and end widths. There's also a skew, so you can skew the platform position. So now you see the start here, platform has been skewed from the vertical, whereby the end is staying as it was, because we've only done the skew at the start end of the platform. And this is useful as well where you've got templates that are going that mating with each other with curves, for example. If something's curving away, then the curve where you want to bring it up and you get the two skews, you get the two platform edges will overlap slightly, so you can skew them to get them to meet up properly. Okay, so we'll lose that template. Trackbed edges is another useful tool we have that we can use, so that if we're setting up a double track main line and we want to set the edges of the track bed where the cess would be on the real thing, we can add those as well. So I'm going to add this to the main side because the platform is on the turnout side, and you can see now we have the two black lines showing the track bed edge. And this can also be used very helpfully if you want to design a baseboard where you've got what's called an open top baseboard, where you only have boards where the track is. So if you've got a very scenic section of your railway with hills or valleys with a bridge, you can set the track bed edges, and that's where you can then use that as a file to follow to cut the baseboard tops to, so you know it's going to be correct for the track plan that you're using. So we're going to go, what should I do? Track bed widths. So the track center to turnout side track bed edge, I don't need to move because we're doing the main side. And so track bed center line to the main side track bed edge is currently 52.5 millimeters. I'm going to change that to 150. And there now you see track bed edge is much further away. Not that you would really want something that far away, but it allows you to actually put something else in there if you so desire. For example, if you're thinking about putting buildings next to the railway, permanent way buildings, signal box, for example, if you know the width of the building you're going to be putting in, you can adjust the track bed edge for your baseboard template to follow the space you need to insert a signal box or another building, or even for adding an overbridge. So you need obviously footings for an overbridge, and this can give you the space before you have your bridge going over your track.
Ian, we've got a question from
Yeah.
Tony. If you subsequently curve the track, will the platform and the track edge modify as well?
It should do, and I can't get to anything at the moment because I've got the Zoom tag open at the top now that is covering the main menu. It won't go away. I think that's because somebody's put something on chat and I need to read it.
Use the keyboard, Ian. Press
That's
F.
okay.
Press the F6
Yeah.
key.
Yes. Let me see. Do that. There you go, Tony.
Yep.
Yeah, I can never remember the shortcuts on the F keys, Martin. I'm glad you can.
He created them.
Of course he did, yes. But but you'd be surprised how many there are. So yeah, you can curve the track either way, and the platform will go with it because it is part of the template. So as the template moves, the shapes that are associated with that template will move with it.
Ian, look in the help menu at the top there.
Yeah, the problem was, Martin, that the Zoom box was covering most of the top line, so I couldn't access it.
Look down in that menu. The help menu at the top.
Yeah.
See halfway down.
Shortcut keys, yes.
No, print F key chart.
All right.
Oh.
When you join Templot and start it for the first time, the instructions tell you to click that before you do anything else.
Ah.
You then have a chart which fits behind your keyboard and shows you which keys do what. But
I haven't
no
done
one
that.
ever bothers.
I'm sorry, I haven't done that. No, I mean,
no one does.
was that there?
No one reads what I write.
I know. Was that there 24 years ago? I can't remember.
Yes, it's been there since the beginning. That's
okay. They say I didn't pay attention. I just went straight in and played.
Yeah, I know. Same as everyone else.
Yeah.
I'll see if I can get it up on my screen in a minute. Hang on.
No, we'll leave that for the moment. Yeah, so there you go, Tony. As you change the geometry, the platform goes with it. And at this rate, well, if we carry on like this, we'll be having a platform to rival Platform 11 at Manchester Victoria in the heyday. So that's platforms and trackbed edges. Now I'm going to bring in a point now. So it's done it again. Stop it. It's this hide the control template, and I'm going to do new template again. So plain track, new template, left hand. We'll go for a C8 point, and there she is. I'll just bring this up here and join it there. And I'm now going to go to Tools, and we used these briefly last time. Tools, make ordinary crossover. So there we are, an ordinary crossover. I'm not going to store that yet. I'm going to just put the peg back onto its datum. Now, a lot of times with more modern track work, check rails now will continue through where the joint of the 2 points are. So if we go away. Adjust check rails. You can see now all the check rail ends have got an indication. You've got MS1, MS2, MS3, because that's main side, and TS1, TS2, TS3 the turnout side. So if I click on TS3, I can now lengthen that check rail. Yeah. Oh. And if I now grab TS2 and select rail length, I can now adjust TS2. I'll now save that, so store and background, and then I'm going to reselect the original point. I'm going to move the peg again, so peg positions, reset peg on datum. This basically just puts the pegs back at the ends, at the toe ends of the points. And now, going back to reel, adjust check rails, I'm going to select TS2 on this point, and we've got a flare type here. So at the moment, it's a bent flare at the end of the rail. I'm going to change it to none. And then I'm going to select TS3 and do the same. Hide. Now you can see where the check rails join, or they overlap, but it's not really of any consequence because all you would do, it would just do it as one length of rail effectively. You can see now we've got continuous check rail through the crossover of the 2 points rather than having the gap that we had when we started. So it's very effective if you've got points that are you're going to look at doing some high speed running. So you've got points on main lines where you want to change from one line to the other, or you're going across a formation. You can extend the check rails to maintain a good alignment of your stock through the point work. The other thing we can do now, which is perfect for this, you can see we've got sleepers, overlapping sleepers, which is obviously not prototypical. So also under reel, go back, we have shove timbers as a function. Now, at the bottom here, I zoom in, you can see each timber has been given a notation of what it actually is. And we can now start moving or adjusting the length of timbers. But one thing to bear in mind, you don't want to ideally adjust the X timbers up to say 7, 8 you can get away with, and 9 by positioning. But in this example, X1 to X6, you don't really want to move because they have specific types of chairs associated with them, and you definitely don't want to move the timber from under the crossing nose because that is supporting the nose of the crossing, which is very important. So what I'm going to do, firstly, I'm going to look at hiding the timber. So hide timber. And I'm going to hide X9 as well. And I might hide X7D. So they've gone and, we're playing hide and seek. They've gone and hidden a cupboard somewhere. I'm going to save this.
Can I butt in there, Ian?
Yeah.
You're hiding the timber outline there.
Yeah.
If you use the new chairing functions, which I'm working on, that doesn't get remove the chairs. You'll still have the chairs without the timbers. If you want to remove the whole thing, over further to the left is the emit button, emit timber.
Yes.
Rather than hide.
Yeah.
While you're not using the chairs, it won't make any difference.
No.
But, and so if you look at the letters on those keys, they've all, it's much faster if you just stab the letter on the keyboard.
Yeah.
If you've got several to do.
I did find but I did find earlier with another program I was hitting A for a function on my keyboard, and it actually wasn't doing what it was supposed to in theory be doing for some reason. It did with the other letters, but not with A. It wasn't Templot, it was another program I was using. I mean, sometimes I do use the keys, but I'm just doing this obviously to show people what they need to look for.
It relies on Windows to sort the keys
Yeah.
out. So if you've changed something in Windows, it won't work. But
Anyway,
I suggest if you're doing traditional timber shoving, you use a mitt rather than hide.
yeah. Well, I'll do that now with the next one. So I'm going to store that one.
Okay.
And then I'm going to reselect this one. So I'm going to wipe this one to the control and make it active. And now I'm going to omit timbers. So X8 will be omit. X9 is going to be omit. And I can't move that one. So now we've got a space in the middle here. So what I can do, for example, X7D, I can lengthen it. And there's two ways of lengthening a rail, a timber. And I mean, there are quite a few options in terms of how you adjust the check rails, how you adjust timbers, how you adjust rail lengths. So you can do mouse action in this box, or you can actually do it, as Martin says, with either the letters or your keys using your mouse. So I'm going to lengthen. This is with a mouse click and another mouse click. And now I'm going to do it by using the L. So this is just using the letter L on the keyboard. And I can lengthen a timber to cover. Now, it doesn't quite go as far as I would like it to. So I can click on the length here and then just adjust its length to match the other one.
No, don't do that, Ian.
Why not?
Because that's not a standard stock timber length.
But yes,
You want
there's an awful lot of point work that didn't have stock lengths, depending upon what the permanent way teams were doing.
Oh well.
No, I know.
In the drawings,
a photograph of some point work on the LMS from years ago, and the timber lengths are all over the place through the point work. Even looking at, for example, let's just grab T9 here, where T9 would be, something like that, and T11 would be, something the other way, or even to the extent of them being thrown as well off. So sometimes it's a right mishmash, even though there is, as you say, the standard lengths of increments.
yeah.
Some track work, when you look at it in photographs, depending upon what era it is, it's all over the place. Certainly sidings and goods yards as well. But they just got any old length of timber and just used it.
Well, quite often it's an old timber which has had a rotten end.
Yeah, and they've just cut the end, and straightened it up.
But where you've got a long timber running across double track like you had there, the standard length is 19 foot 6 inches, and there isn't a longer length available from the timber yard other than by special order.
No, and then what they would do is they'd join them in the middle, wouldn't they?
So I wanted a very longer one, but there's no harm in just leaving it a fraction shorter than the.
So let's just restore that one then. You need to select it, and I'm going to lengthen again.
Yeah, it should. If you look on the length now, it should be 19 foot 6.
98. Yeah.
Oh, you've changed the other one back on X7.
Oh, sorry. 136.5 millimeters.
Yeah, 136.5 divided by 7.
Maths while I do X6.
That's 19.5 feet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Of course, whether it lines up with the other track depends on the actual track spacing you're using.
It does, yes.
So unless you're using the exact scale track spacing, which is 78.17, I think, for that 7 mil, it wouldn't line up anyway.
No. And if you went to 80, for example, or 81,
and
it'd be the same thing, wouldn't it? You'd have to go the other way and lengthen them a bit further. Now, the other thing we can do as well with these, because they've got quite long, and which was what the railways did as well, we can widen the timbers. So with the W here, bring it to the middle a little bit. W here, I can now widen that timber, and I can widen X6, and widen X7. Then what I can do with X8 is I can restore 8 and I can shorten it. Not quite that much. And then I'm going to move it to go into the space between these two sleepers here. You can see. Zoom in a bit. Those two. So 2 options here. You can go crab left or crab right. So E for crab left, R for crab right.
Don't use crab, Ian. Use along.
Along. I've used crab before.
Well, crab is designed. Well, crab doesn't work as well as all the others.
Right.
It's designed to move sideways after you've performed a twist,
Okay.
whereas along moves it along the center line of the track. If
But
you
if it's straight, it would move it along the centre line there anyway, wouldn't it?
it would, yes, but it doesn't always curve properly, and it doesn't get chaired properly, and various other things don't work right with the crab timbers.
Okay.
If you try twisting that, that's
Yeah. So if I twist it like that, and then try and crab.
if you crab, you'll see there's a difference between crab and because it's going sideways at the angle.
Yeah.
Whereas
If I go
along
along,
moves it along the track at the same angle.
yeah, it's the same because it's straight.
No, it's not. If you twist it a bit more, you'll see the difference. Twist it round to 45 degrees, you'll see immediately.
Yeah, that does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas along is different. If you try along with that, it's different.
Well, to be honest, I've used both.
All right.
depending where the sleeper is and what the formation is, I've had to use both.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
most of the time it will be fine,
Yeah.
but crab doesn't have the same functions attached to it as available for the.
No, I've mainly used crab where it's just been straight, and I know I've used along where it's been straight, and I've used crab obviously where it's curved. You want to make it follow the arc.
Yeah.
So I'm going to shorten this one again. Hide and store this one. And then I'm going to go back to the first one again. So now I need to move these two. In fact, I can get rid of these completely because they're actually further. Well, I don't need to get rid of them. I just have to shorten the point. So in action, control and geometry, overall template length, I can do that. Or the other option, rather than going there, would be to go to length and adjust it that way. And then restore that one. So now you can see we've got a crossover with a nice formation with some adjusted timbers, so that no timbers are lying over each other. So this is all in the template, the real options. So the just check rails, the shoved timbers, the type of timbering, which I'll come to now, and the rails. So I'm going to move this live template. Up to there. And now we're going to look at switch settings. So at the moment, this point as C-type semi-curved flexible switches, which is the REA standard. If I change it to a D, see how it affects how the point looks. Okay, I'll do that again. Real switch settings, back to a C, then back to a D. You can see now we've actually lost the end of the whole of the point. So if I go to length and now adjust the length again, so that's the end of the rails. And hopefully if I go to reel and shove timbers and restore all, we get the timbers that were deleted previously or omitted previously. And now I can adjust the length of the turnout side of the point. So turnout road exit, and bring that up to the 2 blue lines which denote where the rail joints are, and do a stop. So now we've got a slightly longer point than we started with. Also under reel, we've got the V crossing options. So you have the choice of a regular V crossing, which we have, a curviform crossing, which I'll select, and if you kill that, I'm going to zoom in quite a bit so you can see what happens with this when we select a different type of crossing. So a curviform crossing. So you can see how now the track, the turnout side of the point, the rails are now curved throughout the turning. There's no straight section in there on the turnout side, and it curves away. So if you've got a line that's going to be curving off at a reasonable angle, then the curviform crossing is quite useful. However, there are limitations with other things, other formations by using curviform, which I'll come to shortly. The other one is a generic V crossing, which goes back to it being straight, but there is different geometry there again. And if you want to do a siding that's parallel to your main line or another track parallel to the line that you're running with, you can do parallel V crossing. And then by extending the length, you get a nice parallel track with the sleepers already adjusted through this area here. But I don't want to do a parallel track. I'm going to go back to a regular, and then I'm going to adjust the crossing angle again. So currently it's a crossing angle of 1 in 8. I'm going to change it to a 1 in 10. And there we are. So a much gentler crossing. And now I'm going to go to the tools and select Make Diamond Crossing. And program and store. So there we have a very nice diamond crossing. And this has got switched blades because it's a shallow angle. So anything normally, we touched on this last time. I know Martin and I were chatting about it, and Martin mentioned that obviously if you've got a diamond crossing on a curve, the angle that you would use switched diamond blades on, it gets tighter, so it gets, the number reduces. But normally on straight track, anything above a 1 in 8, you would use a switched diamond for the K crossings. I'm now going to do another point. So template, new template. Okay, and we're going to move this one to there, just out of the way. So make ladder crossover. I'm going to change the spacing to 6'6", just for a little bit wider. And now we can see we've got our point with our diamond crossing of the same crossing angle of 1 in 8. And I can now save that other half of the crossing. And then if I copy this template to the control, I can shift and join and drag it over here. Oh. Store that. Select this end of the diamond crossing. I'm going to lengthen this, just a arbitrary length. Store that. I'm going to get myself a new template. Plain track. I'm going to shift that to there. I'm going to now curve it. Like that. And I'm going to go back to real. I'm going to add a platform on the main side. I'm going to adjust the width at the start. I'm going to save that one. I'm going to return to this length. I'm going to add a platform this side. Now, obviously, we've got an interesting scenario here where the platform is following the actual whole of the turnout side of the track. So this is where we need to do some changes. So I'm going to turnout side position and length. So it starts at 0. So I'm going to put an arbitrary 10 in there. Enter. And just do everything else. So 100 isn't long enough. So start position with the mouse.
It's much easier to use the mouse action.
But I was just showing it's an example of putting a datum in, shows you what it does and how long it is, and then if you use the mouse, you can just bring it along.
Yeah. Okay, sorry.
No, it's okay, Martin. It's all right. I'm going to stick that there, and then hopefully the width at the start is the right end. Yeah, so I'm going to bring that down to there. And that without going into the skews, that very quickly gives us a platform on both sides. So we've obviously got a line here and another line here, and this could be a bay platform, for example, if it continued on. Well, this is your mainline platform. And then, I can't remember if I stored that, but I'll store it again. If I grab this length of track again and wipe that to control, I can bring it up here, add it there. Oh, damn, why has it done that? I know what I did. Sorry, my mistake. I need to copy to the control, shift and join, add, and I'm going to obviously remove the platform because we don't need it there. Restore. And there we have a very reasonably quick formation. So we've got a point here. If I grab this again and adjust the length, you can see quite quickly we have 2-track main line with a diamond crossing going into a bay platform, and what would be a siding.
Just one point, Ian.
Yeah.
When you print that platform out, it will have those 2 lines down the middle of it. You can change those so that they don't appear.
Yeah.
If you wish.
Well, the other thing is you could just infill them, couldn't you?
Well, they will be infilled in the printed template.
Yeah. Yeah.
But they'll still have those 2 lines down.
Yeah, I in the past I've not let the lines worry me as long as
If you
I've
go,
got the
if you go
outline
back
of the
into
platform.
if you go back into adjusting those platforms,
This thing could disappear. Sorry for the delay. I keep getting the zoom box at the top with everything keeps appearing, and it's
you can
dropping down over all the headings at the top of the
you
screen.
can make the zoom box go down the side of the screen, can't you? I think so.
Not the. I don't think you can do. I'm not sure if you can do the actual command box down the side.
Oh.
Anyway, right. So yeah, I'm there now.
Oh.
Which one, Martin?
There's a box on the right. Output shows edges at.
Start. Start in the rear.
If you untick rear, it goes dotted.
Yeah.
And then it won't print on the printed template.
Yeah, but you still get those as well. You still get these though, don't you? The ends.
Well, you can make those go dotted. If you untick,
but you wouldn't want the whole length to be dotted, would you? Well, it depends upon how your platform works, doesn't it?
Well, normally you'd have those 2 lined up, overlapping one another.
Yeah.
Or you can shorten.
Or your next track would be wider anyway because it'd be full length.
Or you can change the width so that it doesn't.
Yeah.
So the 2 edges, 2 ends don't overlap. That's it.
Yeah.
It's a bit cosmetic, that really. I mean, it's not part
it is. It is.
Not
Yeah.
part of the track planning. It's just
Yeah.
rather annoying when you print out the template. You've got lines down the.
Well, I'll show you I'll show you a printout from Templot later before we finish because there's something else I've done recently.
Oh,
right. So that's just
Okay.
using some of the tools that we have. I'm just going to store all this.
I've got another question for you, Ian, when you're ready.
Okay. Yeah. Fire away.
From Dr. Dave, can you make the diamond crossing into a single or double slip?
Yes. Right. Okay. Cancel. Yeah, can do that right away. In fact, there's an easier way. Rather than the diamond crossing as it, I'll do it as it is. Yeah, why not? So this template is showing as active. I can't remember if I've saved that, so I'm going to do something. Yeah, that is. So I'm going to move this one out of the way now. And I'm going to get rid of the platform. So we've currently got half a diamond. If Dave would like to unmute, would you like me to do it from starting with a point or from the half diamond we have?
Well, it's actually because you already seem to have the track plan there, and you had a diamond crossing, and if you suddenly realized either because later on the track plan that people put in a single or double slip, how you would do that.
Okay, so let's try it from here with the half diamond that we had from the other part of the formation. So we got to tools all the way down here to make slip. And you can select single slip, same hand, which would be, if it was a point, it would be the same hand as the turnout side. Make single slip opposite side, therefore it would be the opposite side to the turnout hand. Make double slip, make single slip crossover, make double slip crossover. So I'm just going to do a make single slip, same hand. I'm going to select continue. So it takes our original template and throws it aside. As you can see now, we've got a very nice single slip. No, from the formation we had, in essence, that would be the wrong side because you've got a facing crossover on the main line, but there are times you need a facing crossover. There's no way about it. But yeah, there you go. Very, very quickly, a single slip for you, Dave. Now, if I do it from a point, I can show you one of the other options.
Just to butt in and answer the actual question, yes, you can do it in position where the previous diamond was, but you need to delete the other half that you don't need.
Yes.
So that you're just starting with the one.
Yeah, because it generates new templates, doesn't it, Martin?
Yeah.
So now I'll do exactly the same, Dave, but do a double slip. And there we have it. Very quick, very easy. Not like it was when I first started using template. Hey, Martin.
Well, I thought it was very easy, but no one else.
No, I got on with it. I didn't have any problems with it, but it was, this is obviously...
It was time consuming, but it wasn't really difficult anyway.
No. I know some people had problems with it making alignments because you had to place things in particular places, didn't you? You had to move things on what we have as notches, which I haven't covered yet.
You still need to do that if you're starting with an irregular diamond in which
then that's
curved track crossing a straight or something like that. You've got to do it the old way. But there is a video on the template website.
There is, and we'll come to that a little bit later as well, because I've got that up and ready to show everybody the Template Club.
Oh, right.
Excellent. Thanks for showing. It's nice and easy.
It is simple to do now. It's so elegant in how it the functionality now from, as Martin said, from years ago. I mean, it wasn't difficult to do 20 odd years ago. It just was, like Martin said, a little bit more time consuming, and you had to think. Whereby now it's a click of a button, and it's brilliant because it just does it so quickly and so efficiently.
The other thing to point out is, of course, it doesn't need to be straight. It works just as well if the tracks are curved.
Yeah.
If you curve that and then make a slip, you'll see what happens.
Well, let's. Wow, look at all these templates. What I'm going to do, I'm going to move this up here, Martin, and everybody else. I'm going to convert this back to a point. So first I'm going to, I'm just going to do it convert track. Okay, so I'm now going to, I'm doing it from the point of view, you've got a length of plain track now, and you want to make a complex formation. So I'm going to insert turnout in plain track. And there's my turnout. If I grab the information panel up here, as you can see here, it's a C switchblades with a V8 crossing. Going to tools again, make slip, and we're going to make a single slip crossover. I'm maintaining the 6'6" center lines between the tracks. Hit continue. I want to do yes, continue. And there it is. Very easy. And as I said, here the timbers are pretty much nicely set out. We just have to do some timber shoving here to reposition these timbers. But there you go. Very quick and easy. Point with a single slip as a crossover.
Okay. There's actually a related question my thought is, if you know the size of that point, do you know when you're looking at a real track plan what they were?
Unfortunately not.
Yeah.
No. I mean, I've yet to find any, with the research I've been doing, any documentation that I'm looking up for what I want to do that actually has the information on what each point or each crossover was in terms of its switchblades and its V crossing. I mean, there must have been documentation originally for it to have been built, but it's where that documentation actually lies, if it still exists, for example.
No, I've never found it either.
No.
Although I did see some permanent way maintenance books for a Welsh railway, which showed some of the information.
Yeah.
But what you can do, if you've got a photograph, is count the timbers, and you get quite a good guess there. And of course, nowadays we've got the maps from the National Library
Scotland.
of Scotland, and you can align the templates over the map and
Yes,
just see what fits.
but they're not always correct either, though. Unfortunately, are they?
Well, I think they're better than most people think.
Yes,
If
they're better than nothing, aren't they?
Far better than nothing.
Yeah.
And certainly the larger scale ones, which are available for most urban areas,
Yeah,
are quite accurate. And even if the position of the V crossing isn't too accurate, the position of the switch tips always is marked.
yeah,
And the surveyor presumably tripped over the tie bar because they're always very accurately positioned.
well, you'd hope so.
So where you've got a crossover, you've got the tips at both ends, and then there's usually only one size of turnout, which will fit exactly halfway between the two.
Yeah, yeah,
So the maps are much better than people keep. I know sometimes the track gauge is drawn a bit wrong,
No,
and the spacing's
no.
a bit wrong. But if
But
you
anyway.
rely on the position of the switch tips, they're quite good, really.
Right.
Anyway,
But
I'll stop butting
No,
in.
it's okay, because that's pertinent, because when I've done this, I'm going to move on to looking at, how you can use maps for, looking at a track plan. And I've got one already on my desktop ready to bring on board, as it were. So I'm just going to do this. So we've now got a C10 point curved. I'm going to do the same thing as before. I'm going to go to Tools, Make ladder crossover, 6'6" gap. And there you have. So very quickly, I've got a very nice curved diamond crossing in there. And if we extend the length of that, you can see it still runs parallel to our original track. And if I do the same with this one, I'm going to take this to the control and lengthen this one. There you go. So very, very handy tool to have, Dave. Okay, so I'm just going to quickly delete all these. So basically just drag a box around them. This little box up here to the left arrow allows you to produce a box, which you can see all these templates have now been highlighted red. So they've been put into a group together so you could store them as a group or store them as a file. I'm going to select group and delete group templates. Yes. And they've gone, apart from our
Oh, you didn't need to do that, Ian. You can just
it's all right. Well, it's okay. It's just I just wanted to do it quickly like that, just to show people on the screen how you can do it very quickly.
Yeah, but you can just press Control plus Delete, and it will delete all the
Right.
template.
Alex Dent's just saying how stunning that is to see it develop so well, and
Yeah.
it looks very similar to his layout plan for Scunthorpe Roxby Gullet.
Brilliant. Okay. Last session, somebody asked about shapes, I remember. So we're going to do something with a map and add some shapes as well. So I'm going to go to shapes. What shapes do I want background, actually? Add a background image. Add your own map or background image. I want to drop an image file on the trackpad. I'm going to go to desktop and grab this one. Why hasn't that worked? Why hasn't that worked, Martin?
I don't know, because I can't see what you're doing on your screen, but if you want to drag it,
Okay.
you've got to have the
So
screen smaller than the... If you've got a full screen, you can't do the dragging, obviously.
Oh, to drag it in, don't I?
I never use dragging. I just use copy and paste usually. But
No. Yeah,
Lots of
that's-
people like to drag.
Okay. Shift.
All right.
Yeah, something simple to start with.
Yeah, well, you, you've
So you
got
can
to,
see
sk-
here that
you've got to
the
sk-
image as it's been dragged in is smaller than what we require for
yeah,
our scale. So now background, shapes. This you can see here, picture, the blue. This is the one that's highlighted to be selected. I'm going to go to modify shape. Martin will no doubt shout at me again for doing something wrong.
I'm not shouting.
No, I know you're not. You're pulling your leg. I'm going to adjust the size. So I click on size and I can make it bigger and bigger. So I'm going to take this piece of straight track down here now. I'm going to select action, shift template position, and I'm going to move it to there to give it a rough start point. Then I'm going to action again. This time we're going to rotate around the peg. So the red dot is the peg. I'm going to see nice gentle rotation. So it aligns with track. I'm going to save that. And now I'm going to shift and join. And join that to there. And now we're getting a slight curve, a very gentle curve. Ever so slightly, you can see we just get the rails in position with the rails in the background. Let's store that. I'm going to shift and join again. So we get the next one, it just comes up next to it.
Can I suggest you do something a bit different?
Yeah, of course you can.
If you look at the top left of the screen, there's a new button there, draw, new and make.
Yeah,
If you draw that along the center of the track, from the map, you need
oh
to,
yeah, this is the one where, yeah, it just draws and
you know,
yeah,
just draw it along from the two ends, the centers. It's a straight line. And then if you use the swell button,
yes, and you just
you can
swell to make it curve out.
swell it to
follow the
match
curve.
the curve.
Yeah, you can see I've missed that end.
Yeah.
Oh, didn't get it in the right place.
Well, you can zoom in and move it up.
Yeah, yeah. So I'll do it from the other end as well. I'll do the same from the other end. So draw, new and make, because we touched on this in the last session, didn't we, with the drawing a line.
Did we? Oh, I can't
Yes.
remember.
Yes, yeah, I remember.
But that new function is very helpful when you're tracing
Yeah.
over a map. If you just draw on the map.
Okay.
I didn't actually realise just how useful it is until I'd
until you started doing it yourself.
Put it there for some other reason, and then realised afterwards.
Yeah. I'm going to straighten that one up a little bit because it was just off center. And now I'm going to save that one and shift and join the next one to it, and then curve this one. So you can see you can build up your track on your plan quite easily. Now here, obviously there's a bit of fuzziness here on the image from the internet. Tell you what, I'll put this building on because it's a little bit, there's more clarity with this goods shed, obviously. So if you want to mark out the position of a building, like a goods shed, or like I mentioned earlier on a signal box, you go to shapes, you can do new shape, and then shapes here. So we're going to add a line, and I'm going to add a line shape by drawing it with the mouse. So add line shape, and I'm going to click on this corner and then just drag all the way up to that corner. And you can just make out there I've got a red line. Now I'm going to, with the font color option tab here, I'm going to make that line wider so it's more discernible. I'm going to make it number 3. Now it's a more clarity on that, so you should all be able to see that now. And they're going to draw another line, obviously from this corner to this corner, and then one from here to here, and another one. Well, so you see it's very easy, just build up a basic shape to give you an outline of the position of a building. But now, of course, they've got the same color as the background. So if we go back to shapes on font and colors, shape color here, the shape color on the trackpad, I'm now going to make them red. And there we have it. So it's a nice representation of the goods shed on our track plan. And you can do the same with other features. So Flowers and Sons Brewery here, we could highlight the brewery if we're going to have somebody building the brewery part of the location. And same again, the buildings here, which are probably something to do with the entry to the goods yard. They could be included, as well as the station building. Oh, man. Now, going back to what Dave was saying earlier, Dr. Dave, about points. So I'm not going to bother with that at the moment because it's a little bit blurred. I'm going to look at this crossover here as something to add. So I'm going to add that in. I'm taking that away. I'm going to add that into there and adjust the curve slightly. I'm going to open that chat box. I know what the problem is. It's when the chat box opens, or somebody puts something in chat, it's covering the box. It's covering all my tabs at the top. So I'm going to now insert a turnout again. I'm going to change it to be facing the other way. And I'm now going to just move it along the length of track. So I go down to roam turnout along the length. So I can now bring it up to there. Which doesn't look too bad, though it might be a little bit too shallow an angle. So I'm just going to change that to a 8. And then from it along the length again. I'm just going to do a quick test by hitting Tools, Make Ordinary Crossover. Now our track centers there are obviously a little bit wider, so I'm going to push those out to 8 foot as a guess. But as you can see, what's happened here, because this is curved, this point has ended up curved as well. But the track centers are pretty much spot on. So what I can do now is, even though that geometry is incorrect, select curve and then just bring this back like that. But now I end up with a point that isn't the correct geometry because this curve along the main line is curving away. So I'm going to put that back to be straight. And I'm going to re-add it. And I'm going to change the V crossing setting to be a 9. Still not quite right. So I'm going to make it a 10. Now you can see it's coming in. And I'm pretty happy with how that's looking. Now I can adjust the length so that it meets the other one. And store that. Okay, so you can see I've already building up a formation based on the original rating plan, the surveyor's plan that I just got off the internet.
Ian, there's been a question. How do you scale the background map so it matches to match 7mm for modeling?
Yeah, okay. So I'll just go back again. So if I go to background, shapes, this top entry here, picture, which is now highlighted in blue, that was the original map that we entered. Go to modify shape, and I just do it by eye more than anything. So mouse actions, size, and it'll start off with scale shape. So it starts off with your shape at 100% because that's the size it's come in at. So you can either, once you've got the 100% there, so you can see currently I've got a triangle. A left mouse click, I get the double arrows. If I go left, it makes it bigger. Sorry, right, it makes it bigger. If I go left, it makes it smaller. So you start it off with 100% and you just scale it. And I mean, that's why I normally put a length of track out first, or a piece of plain track, because I can use that as a datum to work out how much I need to scale the map itself.
It's easier, Ian, if you put the notch under that peg and then use the notch as a fixture when you're scaling.
Yeah.
Because then that won't move.
Yes.
Now, if you go into the shapes dialog again.
Okay. Yeah, shapes.
Yeah, and picture options, I think. On the
picture options. Yeah, when scaling, rescale, resize, lock to the grid, the notch, or a spacing ring. So if you lock it to the notch, which Martin just mentioned, this is.
Now when you do the scaling, that was stay put.
So as I zoom in, you can see here the white box around the red circle with the crosshairs in it. That is the notch, which is, I don't know if it's on top or under the peg at this point. So if I go back to shapes now, back down here, and modify shape and do the size again, so it now stays in location in relationship to that template and that notch.
Dave has asked, can you not use the scale on the plan with a track panel of a known length to help scaling?
Yes, you can do, and the easy
Yes.
way would be to put the ruler on that, because you've got a ruler in Templot. But of course, most people get their maps from the NLS website,
Yeah,
and Templot will fetch them for you and scale them automatically for you. There is a video on the Templot website
yes, there is.
showing how to do that. It's
Yeah,
only if you've got a map of your own that you've obtained that you need to scale it. But if you put the ruler alongside that that scale you've got there, and if you put the notch at the end of it, you could adjust it to match the ruler.
Where is the ruler? Where is the ruler? Come here, ruler.
Well, you've got show ruler. If you
Yeah, I've got show up. There it is.
put the mouse on
Right
the
up
end of
there.
this, put the mouse on the end of that scale bar on the map. Put the mouse. You've got
Yeah.
a scale bar on the map. Put the mouse on the end of it. There. And now press the Alt key and make a left click. Hold down the Alt key on the keyboard and make a left click.
Yeah.
And now at the other end of that scale bar, do the same, but hold down the Alt key and make a right click. Well, that's positioned the ruler. Now the ruler is currently, you want, what are those,
Chains.
the chains, are they?
Yeah.
Okay, so you want the ruler intervals to be 66 feet. So if you go now into the utils up there, set
Divisions.
divisions, yeah, to 66 feet, scaled by 7 to 7 millimeters, which is
So it's 420, 420, 462.
462, yeah.
Yeah.
Right, and now you can adjust this, put the notch where the 0 is there on the, if you go into the geometry menu.
Yeah, I don't. Just bear with it. I'm just trying to.
There's a mouse
Yeah, it's
action.
all right. I'm just trying to get
move
this centered, Martin, so everyone can see.
Yeah, there's a mouse action to move the notch.
Yeah. Geometry, notch, notch on.
Well, you need the mouse action. It's easier. If you go into the action menu
Yeah.
and mouse actions trackpad, I think. Move notch. There you go. Move notch.
It is move notch.
Yeah. Now you can move the notch around with the mouse. It's very close. Look, you got it nearly there.
Yeah.
Just move it onto 0.
Is that? Oh, that's just cancelled it, hasn't it?
Oh, zooming does. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you can get the mouse action you had by clicking the button on the top row there, or press the backspace key on the keyboard. Anyway, you've done it now.
Yeah.
Now you've got to do the scaling until the map scale matches the ruler scale.
Yeah. So you want the 1 here to be on 462 at the end of that.
Yeah.
So I'm going to zoom out a little bit so we get a bit more definition with the 1, because this is the only problem I've found with maps as well. Sometimes even high quality or what large maps online, like 2,500 pixels wide, even when you zoom them in for 7 mil, you start to lose the resolution. You end up with everything pixelated.
Yeah, there's no way around that.
No, there isn't. No, unfortunately.
Map to start with. Anyway,
Yeah.
If you size now while you're locked on the notch, then you'll gradually get those to match up with the ruler, and there you are. You've scaled it up now.
Yeah.
Actually, looking along at the far end, you could go a bit further, I think, maybe. Scale it up a bit more.
Yeah, it is out a little bit, isn't it? But it also depends how accurate the scaling is on the scan from the original map as well, doesn't it?
Well, yeah, it's all a bit of
a bit of guesswork a lot of the time, which is.
There's also the map projection that was used. I mean, if they're using Mercator,
Yes.
it's different from. So sometimes a platform which is dead straight on one map will be slightly curved on
another map. Yeah, and I found that as well.
Mm.
So what I'm going to do, I'm going to modify the shape again. I'm going to
shift it into position.
Yeah.
I see. Yeah.
So it's not a million miles out, but you can see I need a slightly larger goods shed now.
Yeah.
But I can cope with a slightly smaller goods shed. But this gives you an indication of what you can do with background shapes and maps for bringing in prototypical locations. So if you're looking at a nice country station where you've got one platform and a signal box, there are it's just a case of a lot of the time it's hunting around on the internet. I found that if you can get hold of them or if you can find them, and this is where Line Societies come in helpful, it's getting the original surveyor's plans of a location. So this is from the Great Western Railway Surveyor's Office, where they would actually a proper. It's not just a case of somebody who would go out and from the Ordnance Survey and map and do a map. This is actually the land survey. So the position of everything has to be correct, has to be precise, because it's determined as well by the land that they're going to be using. So you can see here all the areas marked in like a pink belong to other different companies. So the Corporation of Stratford upon Avon own this section here, and this is owned by the George Corbett and Charles Ford own this packet of land, which is freehold, and freehold one side, leasehold the other side. We've got the Birmingham Stratford upon Avon Canal going through the middle. So all this needs to be accurate, which is why it was done by surveyors. And it's also, of course, going back to when the railways were originally planned. They'd need the surveyors' maps to make sure they were not encroaching on somebody else's land that they didn't own.
Another question, Ian, when you're drawing a building like you drew
Yes.
the good shed, can you draw a curve?
I'll leave that one to Martin. You can draw a circle.
No, on a curve.
Not with the background shapes, because
Yeah.
the background shapes were originally designed just to draw baseboard outlines.
Yeah.
There is a mechanism where you can use a dummy template, track template, and and make it appear as if it's a shape. So if you had a curved building, you could put a length of track along the curved edge, and then tell Templot to treat that as if it's a background shape, so it appears as a single line in the shapes color, but it will actually be a track template.
Yeah, so you can get a length of track like this, and it's how many ways can you skin a cat to an extent, isn't it? Again, so you can do this. You can either
go into geometry menu there. You want geometry.
No, I was going to do this one first, Martin. I was going to I know the line, but there's geometry. So you can do this. You can just show center lines only.
Yeah, if you use dummy there.
And then and the other one is calling me. What did you call me, a dummy then? Oh. Yeah, use the dummy, and then you've got your curve.
Right. Thank you.
And now you can. Oh, sorry.
But of course, if you want to make a really accurate layout plan rather than a track plan, you can do all this on the sketchboard instead.
Yes.
You've got far more facilities and controls and options to make a colourful layout plan. That's that button at the top left there for the sketchboard.
Yeah, there.
Yeah.
We can do that in the next session. I can see we're going to have a whole series on this.
I was going to say we'll be into Templot 3 next.
Yes. So as you can see, I've just generated very quickly a curved line there. You can see, I mean, it's not accurate, but it shows what you can do just by curving something in there. The other thing we have as well, of course, which nobody's mentioned, turntables. So we have a turntable here. So I'm going to make another quick template. Restore those. I'm going to move the template. I'm going to adjust its length. to give an approximation. So 290, I reckon that should be 300 mil really. No, it wouldn't be 300, would it? What would be a sensible size for a turntable?
240, 60-foot turntable. Oh no, we're in
A
7mm.
420/60.
Sorry, that was a 4mm calculation. 7 times 60 is
If it was a
420.
40-footer, it would be 240. So this is probably a 45-footer, isn't it? It's probably 45 foot, which is going to be 240 and 275.
315 for 45 foot.
315.
Yeah.
Of course it is. Yeah, of course it's 315. Yeah. Yeah. Let's see. It looks a bit large, doesn't it? But it doesn't. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because it's only an example. What am I doing? Shifting template position. No, 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 no. Come back. Come back. Come back. Okay. So I've got a length of track there, and there's a turntable behind it. So with geometry, I'm now going to change the peg position to be on the midpoint of our length of track. So this would be the center of our turntable. I'm going to zoom in quite a long way. And I'm now going to, with utilities, dummy vehicle spacing ring option, I'm going to hide the dummy vehicle. And I'm going to move the ring. I'm going to, with the crosshairs, come on, get it in the middle. Anybody remember Golden Shot? It feels a bit like that. You have. There we go.
Bernie the Boltian.
Yeah, it was the Golden Shot. That was the program.
Yeah.
Right, 315 for our diameter. And now when I zoom out, we have a circle for a turntable. Now, because the peg is in the center of the section of track, I can rotate the track around the peg and line it up with the roads either side. I'm going to store that length of rail. I'm going to go to shift and join again. Make it a little bit longer. Store that one. And then select shift and join again and bring that over here. And stop. And as you can see very quickly, we've got a turntable with an approach road either end. It's very quick.
Amazing how quick that is, actually.
Yeah. So the advantage being now you've got your ring, or your circle for your turntable. If I go back to utilities, go away. Let me drop down box again. Utilities, back to the dummy vehicle spacing ring box. Make background shapes from ring, so circle shapes. We've now got a highlighted circle, which means I can hide the original circle is there for reference. And if I go back to selecting piece of track in the middle, that one's disappeared. If I rotate around the peg again, and restore, and then do a shift and join, You see, you can start to build up the roads off a turntable very quickly. So now we've got 3 rods off the turntable on one side now. So you can, if you were doing a roundhouse, it'd be very easy to take that round and do a nice roundhouse. Or you would just, obviously, start off with a small straight section and then just gently curve those round to build the roll parallel if you were doing a traditional engine shed style layout. But using maps and getting hold of maps, if you're doing something from a prototype, or even if you're doing something for yourself that is based on a prototype, is a really good way of giving you an idea of how the tracks were laid out, how particular locations were laid out for particular types of passenger trains, goods trains, mineral trains, traffic for cattle or sheep, traffic for milk, traffic for fruit. Certainly think of Kent and down in the southwest where there was a lot of fruit that was transported by rail, or the Watercress line is a perfect example of a railway that served a particular produce, hence the Watercress line. So yeah, I thought it was very handy and useful to show you what we can do with maps just by taking an image that I found online.
Ian, can I just check, because Bruce Wilson's joining us from Canada,
Yes.
so if Bruce wants to unmute, has that actually answered your question about scaling backgrounds to match your 7mm modelling?
Yes, it has, and it gives me cause now to revisit an old map I've had for years of Hemyock and play around with it a bit more, knowing I can do a little bit more than I was years ago in Templot.
Brilliant. That's really good to know, Bruce. And what would be nice, actually, because I'll unless anybody else has got any questions, I was going to quickly pop over to Templot Club, which is the online forum stroke database, effectively, and go-to place for help with Templot. It'd be nice if you do that. If you were to go onto Templot Club and join up, you could show us what you do.
I'll keep that in mind. I haven't been to Templot
Yeah.
Club for a while, but it's something I'll keep in mind when I start playing around this again.
Yeah, please do. Thank you. Okay. Are there any more questions on Templot just before I go over to show you Templot Club and what is available?
There's nothing
Coming at the moment. Okay.
No.
No.
Oh, I can't do it like that, can I? Talked about how do I new share? That's it. New share. Templot Club.
I think it just shows the potential, doesn't it? And there'll certainly be a Templot 3, I think, for next year.
Yes.
Sure.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, I'll definitely do another one. More than happy to do another one. Okay, so this is Templot Club, which is what is this the third incarnation now, Martin? Because it started off as 85A, didn't it? And then went to Templot Forum. From memory, I might be wrong.
Well, we started in 2000 with the email group.
Yes.
And then in 2007, we had the first Templot Club forum.
Yeah.
And in 2020, I changed to what we've got now.
Yeah, Templot Club. Yeah. So we've so it's basically
this is
it's the third incarnation, effectively, the third version of what we started with. Like I say, or you started with back in turn of the century. Oh my God.
Yeah. The previous.
That makes us all feel old, doesn't it?
All this started in the previous century.
Yeah. Well, yes. Yeah. Well, I started in the previous millennium.
Yeah.
So Templot Club is really good to get onto. Certainly register for Templot Club. There is so much helpful advice on here, not just from Martin, but other long-term users as well that have been on Templot, as long as I have. And probably actually there's people out there that even use it more regularly than I do quite a lot of the time. So there's, like any forum, there are different sections. So there's the perfect one for me when I started years ago was the Baffled Beginners. If you just click on here, so there's people posting questions about what they've come up with something, they want to know something. So here's another one. Quick look at Watlington Station. I am struggling to load a map of Watlington Station into my template. Dates, node tiles available. Yet again, I'm sure that's supposed to be doing something wrong. And here we go, straight away from Martin. A play-by-play or blow-by-blow example of what you need to do to load your map. And there is Watlington Station in the background. So it's very good. Martin's very good at providing, information like this and highlighting exactly what you need to be able to be looking at or what you need to do to get around the problems you're having. I say it's an excellent forum certainly for what you're doing if you're starting out with Templot, or even if you're an experienced user. There are still things that we're all learning, because Martin's always developing Templot. There's always something new that he introduces, and straight away we're like, oh, what's the new feature? I must have a go at that and must see what it can do. Here's another one. Double junction. Where am I going wrong? When creating a double junction with the help of your video as a guide, I always end up with adjacent track spacing on the main line being slightly skewed. Where am I going wrong? And straight away again, so following day, reply from Martin. Roger comes back with a screenshot. Martin responds with, once again, everything in blue, highlighting the commands that he needs to be using. So I say it's very useful, very, very useful website to get onto and register with for information and help.
That's really good.
Yeah. So I know that last time I showed the grid, I showed the Salford Docks plan I'd been working on. I'm not going to show the map with it as well, but one thing I have done recently for the SR7 mill group is I gotta remember where it is now. It's actually in Templot. I'm going to close that and just minimize that. Just bear with me while I bring up my C drive. Image files. Share screen again. Here you go. So this is the grand plan of the SR7 millimeter group layout. Obviously, some of this has already existed. So the area top right where it says new shed with Bexhill, Coulsdon A and C and Bexhill Goods Yard, that was part of Plan Y that we started in 2013. And we'd never had a complete plan of the whole railway as a network. We had kind of like rough line drawings of it, but never an actual track plan. So this is the whole Garden Railway for the SR7 mill group, which is going to be in the video because it's going to appear in the virtual show in November. So it shows you what you can do with Templot when you're looking at not just a specific location or a railway, but a whole system. We can zoom in. So this is taken from the actual track plans that you've seen before that I've shown in this presentation, the other presentation, and some of the other videos. So it just shows how good a tool Templot is for not just producing your track plans, but for producing a whole set of different diagrams that you can use, because it's very easy with Templot to produce your signal box diagrams, for example, because you can just take a snippet of one section and just then print that out separately from the rest of the layout and use that as your basis for a track plan for your signal box or for your control panels.
That's brilliant. I love the way it shows it going through the toilet as well.
Yes, yes. So yes, the railway does run through the gentleman's facilities in the garden.
It does.
So you have to be careful of whether it's a passenger train or a freight train going past if you're using the facilities. You know, don't want to frighten any young children and ladies.
And there's another question, Ian, about can you save a track plan as a JPEG?
Yes. Let's just go back to Templot. What have I done with Templot? I didn't close Templot, I don't think, did I? I think I might have accidentally closed Templot. No, there it is. Can you all see this?
It's starting to screen share. It's got black screen at the moment, Ian. There we go. Get
Yeah,
back onto
good.
the map
Okay.
now.
Yeah. Not as bad as last time when it just completely froze and my laptop went into meltdown. Yes, so if we look at output, go to the output tab, export a file. So it gives you a range of options. On the left-hand side here is basically exporting a PDF, and this you would use as your basis as your track plan. This is what you would print your track plan out as a PDF, because it's very easy to get printed up either at home with a printer, or if I use a commercial printer to print the templates that I use, because I sometimes will have a template that's 9 feet long to use, rather than just having individual templates for points. If I've got a complex junction, I'll just get it all printed as one sheet because it's easier to work on. So over on this side, you can see you can export a PNG, a GIF, a JPEG, or a bitmap. So at the moment, image boundary fit templates, create image file, continue, create file. I'm going to change to diagram mode. I'm going to call this Evening with Stratford. Too many R's in there. And then save as type. So your options are PNG, GIF, JPEG, or bitmap. So I'm going to save it as a JPEG.
Don't save it as a JPEG.
Why not?
Because
no, the question was, can you save it as a JPEG?
well, the answer is yes, but you never
Yes.
should.
No, but I just show that you can.
Yeah, well, if you're saving anything off the screen, which isn't a photograph, always use PNG.
Yes.
You get a smaller file and a much cleaner, crisper.
Cleaner image, but the JPEG option is there.
It's there, yes, but it's mainly for saving photographic
Photos.
things that you've put on.
Yeah. So I'll do it as a PNG. Save. And view image in your usual image viewer. And there we are. So I've got a PNG saved just from those active templates there that you can see.
Very good.
So yeah, the option, once again, you go to output, export a file. If you want to export the track plan so you can have it printed as a PDF, you can change the long side and the short side to fit the paper that you're going to be using or you want to use, and then you just hit create PDF. If you want to select another option in terms of what you want to output, then you've got the options here. So you can either fit templates, or you can draw a boundary rectangle. So boundary rectangle, draw new rectangle. If I do this, I draw my rectangle and then create image file, PNG. Save. And then view image again. And you can see I've got the whole thing saved, and all templates are down here. And if we want to create a export a PDF, I'm just going to change the trackpad. So the trackpad grid options, I'm going to go for 250mm spacings. This is going to be big. So we're going to 21,000 by 12,750. Export a file again. $12,000 by, what was it I said, 1270. Yeah, so a bit too large to do as a PDF, unfortunately. Certainly on one sheet.
Just while you're doing that, Tony just clarified that he was asking about it for use in the forthcoming virtual show. The wiki, which we use as the platform for the virtual show, accepts JPEGs but not GIFs or PDFs.
Right.
I think it will accept PNG, but we'll have to try that.
Yeah, it should. Yeah, if the wiki should accept.
I'll be very surprised if it doesn't accept a PNG.
Yeah.
And then Ian
Right,
Majors just letting you know that he's put up a 1969 photo taken from the top left-hand corner of your map as his background.
Oh, brilliant. Excellent.
No, the wiki doesn't accept PNGs. We had to convert all the PNGs we got sent to JPEGs.
All right, okay. We might have to ask James Aitken about that before the next one. Ian, we're up to 10 o'clock,
Yeah.
so we probably ought to
Wrap.
wrap up, and I just need to show people about the
Sure.
next evening with. I have to say that despite the time, we've kept almost everybody, so it just shows how interesting the topic is.
Brilliant.
And certainly need to do some more sessions on
Yes.
template, I think.
Yeah.
And I hope Dave Jones has taken note and is already planning the new racetrack for Northampton.
Okay.
We've had a comment, an excellent session from Dr. Dave.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Dave.
it
Appreciate
has-
that.
It has been extremely.
Yeah, brilliant, Ian. Very good.
Thank you, and thank you to Martin as well. Obviously, for your help,
Oh,
and,
that's okay.
and for producing template for us all to enjoy.
Yeah.
Oh,
Bruce is just telling us that it's supper time there in Canada, and lots of people giving you extremely positive feedback. So I'll just very quickly run through the introduction to the next evening with. So I think very much thank you to Ian for what's been another very, very informative session.
My pleasure.
People know me as a bit of a, oh, it's technical and avoiding technical, but I'm actually learning so much. So thank you very much. And thank you very much to Martin again for joining us as the creator of Template. We really appreciate your support. Sorry, Martin.
You're welcome. I'm quite happy that people, find it, my program useful.
Yeah, no, it's excellent. Thank you. Our next An Evening With then is planned for Wednesday, the 26th of October. And next month we'll have Julian Carr, who is a member of the Orco Gauge Group, talking about building dioramas to display rolling stock and vehicles. He's been doing these since 2012 and sees dioramas as a window into a lost world of infrastructure. And he'll talk through the creation of his own dioramas that depict scenes typical of those serving the Greenwich Peninsula with the Greater London boundary down into North Kent, collectively known as Of London Clay. And that is a picture of one of his dioramas just there on the advert. But I've seen a lot of his dioramas, and he was recommended to us by Richard Mills, and I'm very grateful for that, because a lot of people haven't got room for layouts, but they'd love to display stock in a realistic background. So dioramas are something which are very useful for people to learn about. So booking starts from midnight, and then obviously we'll send a reminder out nearer the time. So that's Wednesday, the 26th of October for our next seminar. Don't forget our virtual show. Make sure that's in your diary for Saturday, the 5th of November. We'll be on air from 9:30 in the morning, and you'll be able to enter directly from the front page of the Guild website. So you don't have to do anything fancy. Just go to www.gageoguild.com, and it's free for everybody. You can literally just enter, and then it's a bit like walking around a show. You can go into the main hall, you can choose whether you want to go and see a video of a layout. You can go to a demonstration. There will be some live sessions which you join by clicking on a Zoom link, and we've got lots of demonstrations. How many layouts have you got now, Tony?
If we get every one of them, it'll be 17.
17 layouts to choose from, and it will be available for the rest of the month of November, so that if you can't fit it all in one day, you can certainly get round all the layouts and demonstrations and look at any recordings of sessions that you missed. There will be trader adverts, and some of the traders will be doing new product launches, so look out for those. And obviously we'll be advertising more on Facebook and on the Gageo Guild website. So lots to look forward to for our virtual show, and that obviously reaches across the whole world. It could be viewed on any time zone as well, so you may not be able to get onto the live sessions, but you can certainly see the recordings thanks to people like Ian. Just a reminder that we still have free membership trials for non-members. So if you want to find out more about the Gageo Guild and all of the resources that are available to you, you can join us for a month free and then decide whether you want to convert to full membership. And if anybody does want to join, please do point them to About Us on the website front page, and there's a click down box, you know, a menu, and join online, and it just takes you to everything you need. So, you know, I think there's lots and lots of benefits now to the Guild with our face-to-face events, all of these virtual events, the quarterly publications, an absolutely massive website full of information, and I really hope that a lot of people are getting things out of these seminars as well, which keeps things going throughout the year. So Ian, thank you again. Somebody's asked if we can have the opening door on the website for the 5th of November to a firework display. I'll have to have a word with Julian Best and see if he can manage that for us. But lots of thank yous coming up on screen to Ian and to Martin as well. And let's get the third one scheduled for next year. It's been
definitely.
a brilliant evening.
Well,
So,
if I'm taking over looking after them, then yeah, I can book myself in, can't I?
You certainly can. You certainly can. That's brilliant. Thank you to everybody.
Thank you, Ian.
Okay, thank you. Bye, everybody.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks for joining us this evening.
Yeah, thank you. And we'll be celebrating Richard's birthday on the 5th of November as well, by the sounds of things.
Tony Geary's escaped from Stafford. Look, I can see him. Well done, Tony.
Brilliant. He got out on
I found a
Saturday.
way out.
Excellent.
I found a way out at last.
Good man.
Brilliant. Lovely to see everybody again, and we'll see you next month. Thank you
Thanks,
all.
Ian.
Cheers.
Good night, all. Thank you.
Good night.
Yeah.
Cheers,
Bye.
everybody.
Bye.